overarching goal is just to give you a sense that biology is not fixed, and I think that that's something that people often harken back to. What is in your genes makes you who you are. It's the recipe that decides your life for you. And I hope what I'm going to argue a little bit is that your biology and your genes are interacting with each other all the time, and particularly during development. And so that gives bodies a lot of flexibility, and it gives brains a lot of flexibility. And I think that when we're talking about biological sex in particular, there are lots of options. And I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of a taste of some of those pathways.
So when we're hearing these terms that come up, we'll also hear terms like non-binary. We'll hear gender queer, gender non-binary, we'll hear gender non-conforming, and some of these terms refer to, again, there is a biological component, but it is mostly the brain of the person that's saying, the gender that I have been assigned, the story that my parents, grandparents, neighbors, friends, family, schoolmates, all of these people have about me isn't 100% correct. Or it's 0% correct. It's completely wrong, and here's who I am. Like me showing up at my 20-year class reunion and saying, this is who I really am. And everyone's like, cool. I mean, I got a great response. I was graduated class of 90, lived up north in Shoreline School District, and I went to my 20-year class reunion. And I got to be myself, and I think the people around me, it was great to connect with them, because they're like, wow, you seem more yourself than you've ever been. I just didn't know who I was in high school. So that's some terminology. It's non-binary, makes sense? Is that okay, good. What is interesting at this moment in 2019, right now, is that Washington State is one of a number of different states that all have non-binary gender markers for birth certificates, and we are moving towards having them for driver's licenses. And so that's really significant, and I had done some research and connected with folks at Pike Place Market. If you've been to the fish market, raise your hand. Remember the fish market down there? Underneath that is the West Coast's oldest public bathroom. I learned that from the Pike Place Market staff. And what was fascinating about that was at the time, it was for men. It was just a bathroom. There was this assumption prior to first wave feminism that women were not allowed in public spaces. And so if you had a public restroom, it was not for women. It was just a public restroom, and why would a woman use that? Because they wouldn't be out in public for very long. So, but what's interesting is that set of bathrooms currently in 2019 have male and female, or men and women. And awkwardly, they have set in the hexagonal tiles in the floor and the walls XX and XY chromosome. It just says XX and XY in those bathrooms. And then above the doors, it says men only and women only. And I remember after I had transitioned in 2007, I remember going to that bathroom and I'm saying, well, gosh, I'm a woman, but that says XX, and I know I'm XY. So how am I going to do this? And I just said, well, what's on the floor in these tiles, that's not what's important. But we have this political moment where in 2019, non-binary gender markers exist, which begs the question, what's next for America? Because we are about 100 years out from single gender bathrooms. At some point, and I don't know when it happened, I don't know if it happened all at once or gradually, I'm assuming gradually, but first wave feminism said, hey, women deserve to be in public. That is something that is valid and rational, and we deserve to actually have bathrooms that are safe and separate from men's bathrooms. And so the invention of that, in America at least, led to the rise of bathrooms. And so we're all born and we went to schools that all had binary multi-stall bathrooms. And as we grow up, that's just what it is. That is the story of humankind, is that we have binary multi-stall bathrooms. How many people have been to Sweden? Anyone? You ever been to the bathroom in Sweden? What's that like? I'm tangled. Okay.
It's not based on gender. Everyone can just go in their individual stalls, so it's for everyone.
It was frustrating and exciting for me to go and watch a movie in a public theater, and I needed to go use the restroom, and there was this extremely long line out the door. I'm like, what the hell? Apparently, in Sweden, everything is a line. There is a line for absolutely everything. But for the bathroom, it's a line for men and women. And you walk in, and the bathroom stalls are floor to ceiling. They're full walls. They're not that flimsy metal stuff with the little gaps. Who hates the gaps? Anyone hate the gaps? The gaps are terrible. So, and by the way, that's capitalism for you. We're going to make the walls as cheap as possible, and with as many gaps as possible, get you in and out. So, but over there, socialism. Walls, floor to ceiling walls with a locking door and a toilet inside.